Namaste. Today's practice we will focus on the hips and legs. Feel free to use 2 yoga blocks for support whenever you need to. Let's start. So we're going to come into all fours. Tuck your toes under. And then drop the belly, lift the chest. Exhale, curl into cat pose. Remember to engage your inner thighs here, squeezing into the midline. Again, keeping the thighs engaged, drop the belly, lift the chest. Inhale, look forward or up. Again, exhale, curl in. Let's feel the pelvic tilts and the spinal movement here. Again, drop the belly to cow pose. Inhale. Exhale, one more cat. Fold. And slowly come back to neutral. Okay, spread your knees to mat width apart. Point the toes, sit on your heels. Walk your hands forward and rest your forehead on the mat. And try to engage your arms here by pushing the floor away a little bit more, pushing your mat away while grounding your sit bones nice and firm on your heels. And then if you feel that it's very hard to touch your heels, it's perfectly fine. Just keep your muscles engaged and active. And slowly inhale, look forward. Come all the way up. You're going to try to turn the eye of your elbows forward, and now try to sink your hips forward a little bit here. Not really pushing with force, but allow it to sink naturally without compressing the low back and hurting the hip joints, especially the front. And then slowly again, I'm going to press back, sit on your heels to a wide knee child's pose. And let's repeat 2 more rounds. Inhale and coming up. Resting the hips forward. You can look up or look forward. And then press back, wide knee child's pose. And one last one, inhaling up. And exhale. This is the kind of feeling that you're doing a cobra pose, but with your knees wide. And slowly exhale, press back, sit on your heels. Now keeping this wide knee child's pose, keep your right hand in front, take your left arm under. Just gonna twist to your right side, place the left shoulder down slightly. And slowly come back. Second side, right hand to the left, right shoulder down, left hand pushing the floor away, and then release, come back. Okay. Slowly walk your hands back towards you, cup your fingertips. So now for this one, focus on the pelvic tilts, anterior pelvic tilts. So you want to tuck, or not tuck, you want to stick the buttocks out. Lengthen the front body, stick the buttocks out. Find this little curve in your lower back. Roll the shoulders back. Something like you want to do the lion's breath or the lion's pose. Look forward or up. And slowly exhale, release. Okay, so let's take a downward facing dog here. Pedal your heels, oscillate your neck. Relax your breath. Relax your jaw. Stay in downward dog for 3 full breaths. When you're ready, let's step your left foot forward, coming to a lizard pose, and forward and outside the left palm. Feel free to turn the left foot slightly outward. Then sink the hips down and forward. So most of the time we will just sink the hips down, but try to sink it down and forward. So just a very little movement there, down and forward, so you can lift your chest. But if you feel this is quite challenging, just use your blocks to support you. So make sure that the blocks are steady before you lean on or place your weight onto the block. So pushing the hips down and forward. Heart opens, look forward. You can always rest your right knee or back knee down on the floor. And try to turn that left hip as you can. So that's a focus on external rotation of the left hip here, while keeping the right thigh in a neutral position. So the center of the right thigh should be facing down and not turning out, or you'll be stretching the adductors instead and throwing the hips off balance slightly. So sink the hips down and forward. One more breath. Lift the chest, pushing the block away. Just take the stress off the wrist. And then slowly release, come back. Okay, now I'm gonna point the left toes forward. You're gonna walk your blocks 45 degrees to the right side, bring the back leg up. So we're gonna do a Skandasana, a side lunge. So right toes up. So I won't be mirroring you here. I'm just gonna stay with the same side as you are. So if you find that it's very challenging for you to do a full Skandasana, just grab a block and sit on it, because what we want to do here is to focus on the external rotation of the hips and then also stretching the hamstring. So there's no point that you're struggling here and then this angle or the position of the foot, the hip and the knees are not safe for you to stay in this pose. So might as well just sit on something and then focus on freeing this area, okay, this joints. Alrighty, so cup the fingertips, lengthen your spine. Again, roll your shoulders back. Feel free to close your eyes if it helps you to feel your body more. For some of you who don't need the block, you can just lean forward, place your elbows, forearms, palms onto the floor. So make sure that when you fall, the knee doesn't fall forward. You want to maintain the external rotation of the hip. So you're just gonna stay here for another 2 deep breaths. Now, at any point, if you feel that the other leg is feeling very tense over here, you can always bend the knee or place another block to support the knee and stay right here. Okay, so just know that your limitations are really not limitations, but there are signals for you to give more care and attention to that part of your body that sometimes you have overworked or maybe neglected. You know, sometimes we just don't pay attention to the callings. So just stay here for one more breath and then come back up nice and slow. Remove the supports, bring your hands forward and slowly make your way back to a crescent pose. Okay, so find your runner's lunge first. Lower the back knee. So for the crescent pose, you want to probably narrow down the front foot back to the hip width position, and then grab your block. You know, you need it or you don't, just don't be shy to use the blocks. They're actually my best friends in my yoga practice. So play with the height of the block as well. And for this one, the target will be the hamstrings and the quads, quadriceps of the back legs, and also your hips. Make sure they are squared or leveled. Then remember sinking the hips down and forward. Roll the shoulders back. So let your shoulders sit nicely back and down, as if they want to sit back and down onto your hips here. Now if you feel really, really tight, feel free to lift your hips a little bit. Move the blocks forward. Rest the palms on the block. Make sure you don't lean or place all the weight onto the block that you stress the wrist out. You want to avoid that, so push the block away. Find a good position. Sometimes what I do is I place the blocks in a diagonal position and then push it away. Hips forward and down. You feel okay? Again, just slide, move the blocks back. And some of you are feeling more open, just roll your shoulders back. Walk the blocks back a little bit more. Make sure you level your hips. And if your body allows you to open up to a little back bend here, just go ahead. And exhale, release. Okay, now walk your blocks forward first. It's coming to a half split. Shift the weight back. Just gonna push your hips back a little. Now, should you place your front foot down or should you lift the toes up? It's totally up to you. Definitely, if you keep them up, you will get a more intense stretching sensation for the hammies. And if you point and flat them down, you feel a lot more on the shin area, okay, your shin muscles. So again, you decide what feels right for you. Sometimes I'll alternate when I do my practice every day. Today I'm gonna do this one with the foot down, and tomorrow I'm gonna do this. Or probably even the same practice, the first round I place the foot down, the second round I lift it up, okay? So plugging the left hip back, lengthen the spine, walk your hands forward. Exhale, sinking your hips down and back while reaching your arms forward. Relax your neck and jaw. Feel your left hamstring. And release. Oh, we're gonna do a twist after this. Walk your hands closer to you. Turn the left foot 45 degrees out. Okay, and then bring the left hand in. So you're coming back to a lizard position. We're gonna twist the lizard. Sink the hips down. Again, so sometimes this gets very wobbly when you twist because you tend to lean onto the block too much. Make sure you flatten it out or just place your hands on the block, your hand on the block. So one hand on the block. And then you can move this away. The left hand on the left thigh. Twisting gently to your left side. Right hand, keep pushing away, leaning back as if there's a wall behind you, leaning your back against the wall. Squeeze and engage the right buttock. And then slowly release. Very, very slowly release this. So what I usually do is I lift my hips up and back and then gently slide or heel toe my front foot back. And return to downward facing dog. Just gonna pedal the heels again. Maybe you wanna do a vinyasa here. Inhale to plank, lower your knees down, chest and chin. Sliding up to cobra, roll your shoulders back. And exhale, back to downward facing dog. Let's repeat on the other side. So just gonna step your right foot outside the right palm and sink your hips back and down. Push your hips forward and down. Turn the right foot slightly out if you need to. So sinking here. Again, feel free to use the yoga blocks. And then close your eyes if you want to. Focus on the external rotation of the hip. Now, the right hip. Breath. And try to keep your heart space open so you're not rounding and collapsing your back. Okay, and slowly release. Right? Walk your hands closer to you and point the right toes forward first. Back heel up. You're gonna flat it, coming to Skandasana. Okay, for this one, just let me turn around so you won't be staring at my back. So Skandasana. Place a block underneath here too for you to sit on if you need to. Okay, so just feel the external rotation, and maybe you need, or maybe you don't need the block to support this. I'm just gonna place it here for some of you who needed the support. So it's sitting nicely underneath the back of your knees here. So keep the knees bent. Okay, so lengthen your spine, cup the fingertips up. Relax the shoulders and jaw, and then slowly you can stay upright or full forward. Just make sure when you fall forward again, your knees don't cup forward. Just keeping the external rotation of your hips. Again, for those of you who aren't using the blocks, you can lean forward a little more. Place your elbows, forearms down. Remember external rotation of the hips. Okay, and slowly come back up. Right. Now let's turn. Lift the hips up, cup the fingertips, and then you're going to lift the hips up, point forward, lift them back, heel up. Find your crescent pose, drop the left knee. Again, I'm going to use the blocks here. So again, remember this one. Focus on the sensation of your right hamstring and your left quads. Roll the shoulders back. So again, play with how you want to place the blocks. Heart space open, sinking the hips down and forward. Relax your neck and jaw. And also don't forget about the back leg. Sometimes we just let it collapse. So the second, third, and fourth toes has to be grounded. So just to make sure that you have a nice medial line facing forward. And again, you want to deepen the stretch. Hands back or flatten or lowering the block a little more. Lifting, remember no collapsing onto the block. You want to push the block away to create more lift. So you can sink your hips forward. Lift the chest. And exhale, release. Okay, so a half split. Ardha Hanuman. So walk your blocks forward. Shift the weight back. Also, pay attention to the back toes. And start to pluck your right hips back. So walk your hands forward. So remember this hands position can be very flexible, mobile. You can place them here sometimes if you know that you're flopping to one side. You don't have to be has to be shoulder width or mat width all the time. There is support, so create your own support system. So hips going back, arms going forward. Deep breath. When you're staying in this posture, just pay attention to the flow of your breath and always relax your jaw. You want the vagus nerve to relax as well, so it helps you to breathe comfortably, efficiently. Okay, and slowly look forward, walk your hands slightly closer to you, and then turn the right foot out, coming back to a lizard, but we're going to twist the lizard. So again, flat the block or palm on the right thigh, right hand on the right thigh, roll the shoulders, ground that middle 3 toes, and then twisting to the right side. Sink the hips down and pushing the block away. No stress for the wrist. So while you're sinking the hips down and forward, there's another energy that's going outward. So it's always an opposing energy. So when going down, who is going up? So the shoulders, top of your head is going up. If we just sink everything down, we're going to end up compressing, placing too much compression, causing too much compression on the low back. Some compression is good, but not too much. Just one more breath. Just keep an eye on the back foot. And slowly release, come back. And take your time. Remove the blocks. Come back. And take a downward facing dog. Pedal your heels. Okay, let's do a vinyasa here. Inhale to plank. Drop your knees, chest and chin. Inhale, slide up to cobra. Roll the shoulders. Relax the neck and jaw. A little smile on your face. And exhale, press back to, again, a wide knee, child's pose. You want your belly to rest in between your legs, between your knees and your thighs. So just relax your arms, relax, soften your belly, and creating a space for your abdomen to rest. I'm going to stay here for another 3 full breaths. Just try to relax your body. Okay, and then come back up to hero pose. All right. So I hope you enjoy this quick practice for your hips. Happy practicing. Namaste.